Hi, I'm Ryan Bailey, just outside of the BCIT Broadcast Center, where I'll be graduating in just a few weeks from the Broadcast and Online Journalism program. Thank you for taking the time to review my application for the 2023 ABCOM Bursary Award. The award would really help me launch into the next steps of my career. I've taken some small steps already, but I'm very excited to graduate and start combining my passions and hobbies into my work. I think one of the proudest accomplishments of mine has to be the work that I've done with AM 730 Traffic. Being on the radio, it's truly an honor. I really love the people I get to work with there, and I get to see some very professional performances on the air, and I try and learn as much as I can from everyone I get to meet. And with AM 730, I've had the opportunity to be the technical producer for the BC Lions and Vancouver Whitecaps radio broadcasts. I think the thing that motivates me the most has to be my dad. He was always tuned into the radio no matter what time of day it was, whether it's talk radio, news radio, or traffic, especially as he worked as a professional driver and was on the roads all day long. Unfortunately, a little over a year ago, my father passed away from cancer, and he never had the opportunity to listen to me, but it's definitely something I keep in mind every time I step into the booth there. In the Broadcast and Online Journalism program, we learned such a variety of skills because we have to be able to work in digital, television, radio, all of these different mediums that require very specific skill sets. I would say one thing that I would really like to see more of is definitely a deeper dive into photography. Of course, we do lots of videography, and photography is a part of our course as well, but much of it is very much geared towards being a mobile journalist and how to maximize using your phone. For me, I've really fallen into photography as simply a hobby, but I've really enjoyed the opportunity to work in the field with my own camera that I've purchased. And though it has its limitations, I've really taken it upon myself to maximize my skills and my abilities with the camera. I wish we had more of an opportunity to work with specific photo cameras. Of course, we work with many video cameras and we do lots of video storytelling, but photography for me, simply because of how passionate I am about it, I wish we could have had more of an opportunity to work with different kinds of gear while in this program. Given that I've been working in radio for some time now and we produce many radio stories here at BCIT, I try and tune in as much as I can to CKNW, for example. I find the talk shows are great and informative, and they give a lot of interesting perspectives on the stories of the day, but just the news hits as well. I find those are great to just quickly get me up to date, and especially before coming into school, I think it's really valuable to listen because you need to be informed, you need to be caught up, and then ultimately it helps me decide what stories will I chase for that day. What do I think is important for that week? Those are very important decisions to make, and I think there's a big responsibility on mainstream media. We've learned a lot and discussed a lot in our program that there's definitely a growing distrust with mainstream media and journalists and such, and it's made it a bit of a toxic environment at times, and it can certainly be a bit dangerous for journalists, but I try not to let that discourage me. I think ultimately if I continue to do my due diligence and I'm ethical about the stories I chase and the people I talk to, and I do the right things and do the right measures, I can be a part of making great change. And ultimately, when we talk about media companies that have the ability to make change, the mainstream media really has that influence on people. But of course, as I just said, it's starting to wane a little bit as people don't trust it so much. So I think places like the CBC, especially as a federally funded company, really has the ability to affect people's influences and perspectives on certain issues. And I really hope that journalists like myself coming out of school can take those values we've discussed about talking to the right people, chasing the right stories, letting voices be heard, and telling all the perspectives. That is something very important and very valuable. I think the most important thing I've learned while I was here at BCIT is the team working aspect. It really takes a whole village of people to put a show together. You've got reporters and anchors, producers, everyone kind of needs to be on the same page, and this is every single day. What I love about the newsroom course here is that you're trying a different role every single week, and you get to do a variety of things and work with just about everyone in the program. And I think in any industry it's true that you need teamwork, but newsrooms especially, that's the biggest thing I've learned here, is that there's so many moving pieces, and just as a journalist, even if you're out on your own, filming on your own, editing on your own, you really need to be tuned in to what the rest of the team is doing, and then you can maximize everybody's potential that way. If I had the ability to do anything I wanted for a day, I think it'd be to drive a race car. I've been a motorsports fan for so long, I couldn't even tell you, and it's kind of part of the reason I got into journalism. I figured if I can't drive the cars, well, at least let me report on them and be involved in the action somehow. It's not a huge market here in Canada for it, but I think just starting with the journalism skills you learn in local news or wherever it may be really sets a strong foundation. And this has really been echoed by a lot of the professionals I've had the pleasure of talking about this stuff with. Here at home, I've put together a little racing simulator of my own. It's probably the closest I'll ever get to actually driving one of those cars, but it really is my favorite way to escape from school. And as soon as I get home, I'm pretty much on this thing right away. With the money provided by this award, I would really like to invest in more camera gear for myself. I've been using this for a little while now, and it's been good, but ultimately it's starting to show a bit of its age. And as I get more experienced and more skilled at photography, its shortcomings become a little clearer. I think it's been really handy in shooting portrait photography and landscape photos as well, but I'm definitely going to need more lenses to help capture a lot of action photography, and some of which I did in my previous stories at BCIT, but ultimately I would love to branch out into more sports photography and action photography of sorts, so definitely going to need some new equipment for that, and it's difficult to afford being a full-time student, of course, but ultimately I think the gear that I buy will help serve my career very well, as I want to get into freelance photography as well, just on the side, and I also think in my journalism it'll help me go far as well. But thank you for taking the time to review my application for the 2023 ABCOM Bursary Award. I'll leave a link to my profile and you can view some of the work that I've done there, both from school and from the radio station at AM 730. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I hope to hear from you soon.